Coming to a YouTube channel near you.
Well, hello, and welcome to the show. I am Althea, and this is Spiritual Street Talk with Althea Jacob, and I am delighted that you are here tuning into the show, whether you're joining us live tonight or whether you're tuning in sometime in the future. Thank you so much for taking your precious time to come and share thoughts with us and some time with us, and to just kind of hopefully be in a place where afterwards you feel uplifted, a little clearer, a little more peaceful, a little bit more motivated to go become the best possible you can be, with some plan of how the heck you're going to get there, right? So for those of you that are new, and hello, Ohio Bigfoot researchers, yay, somebody new. I like this. I tease that I feel like I was one of the ladies from Romper Room, and we would be like, oh, and hello to Johnny and hello to Kathy. And, every now and again I see, and Kathy just signed on. Well, wasn't that a psychic premonition, huh? So it's really fun for me to see some of the same names, because when people are on live with me on Thursday nights here in the States, they get an opportunity you get an opportunity to put in some comments in the chat. You can ask questions. You can propose topics that you want me to talk about. This is your show. My intention on doing this podcast, Spiritual Street Talk, was to answer questions and to put things in a really down-to-earth way with a spiritual foundation and frame, because all of us are spiritual beings that came into this physical plane and are dealing with all of the lessons and the pits of quicksand and the challenges, as well as all the blessings and opportunities, right? And so one of the challenges that we have is we often get so busy that we forget to take a step back and say, why am I doing what I'm doing? Do I have balance in my life? Do I have balance in my relationships? And so the purpose of this show is to kind of think about, like, what's going on in the world? What's going on in our lives? How can we, each in our own ways, take one step closer to the way we want our lives to be, where we have a sense of peace, where we're creating a legacy of positivity, where we're developing and using our gifts, whether they're spiritual gifts or worldly gifts, just there are gifts that we're meant to use and share with the world. So are we doing that? Or did we get so distracted with just trying to make ends meet, or trying to make other people happy, or live up to the expectations of some authority figure in our life, that we kind of strayed away from what our own soul wanted us to do? So I've had careers in business. I was a corporate consultant for many years. I was a corporate auditor. I was a chemist. I had all kinds of corporate and sciencey jobs over the years. But I also worked for Guiding Eyes for the Blind, and I was a dog trainer. And all while that's going on, I'm developing all of my skills, taking classes, certifications in all of the metaphysical arts, because that's where my heart and soul were leading me. And it took a lot of gumption to leave a really good corporate career, because I got the prompting from Spirit that you're supposed to be using your gifts to help people, day-to-day people, not just make companies richer, but to help day-to-day people figure out what they're doing in their lives. Hello there. So the format for the show, for those of you that are new, is I usually take the first 5 or 10 minutes and just talk about whatever's been on my mind and heart. And then I will go through some messages from Spirit, because right before the show, I pray a little bit, and I pick some angel cards and oracle cards and tarot cards, and I go through what the meanings of those cards are. And what's really fun, it's kind of like a spooky, cool part of the way this happens, is it doesn't matter whether you are tuning in live tonight or whether you tune in tomorrow or next week or next month or next year, or even beyond that, whenever you are listening to or watching this podcast and we get to the point where we're doing the messages from spirit, there's going to be a message that resonates with you. You're going to be like, oh, that's why I tuned in. It's going to be something that's going to plant the seed, bring you some comfort, give you an answer, give you some direction, or at least give you something to ponder to help you through these next few days, weeks, months of your life. So then after that, after we've kind of gone through the messages from spirit, I will go back to the chat and I will look for whatever questions are out there. And I do ask, if you are live and on the chat, if you have a question, you have a topic you want me to cover, or just something you want to know about that, maybe you want my take on it. I've been a metaphysician and somebody who's been looking at things from a spiritual focus for about 40 to 50 years now of my adult life. And so I can probably give you a perspective on things and kind of bring it down to earth and chunk it down. My criticism of the New Agers that I used to be one was we made things sound too woo-woo and special. And it's like, no, these are all gifts and abilities we all have. We all have an intuition, right? Whether it's that gut sense that helps us in business or romance, or that little spidey sense we get that we just know something's wrong and we should call some family member or friend. We all have those, right? We have the ability to heal each other, right? Whether it's the loving touch of a mom or a massage therapist's touch that relaxes our muscles, or a doctor's touch that knows the right way to help heal whatever infirmity we're dealing with. So healing has been a natural gift for years, right? And then we have all of the beautiful artists and authors and musicians and people that tap into some stream of consciousness and they bring it through in order to uplift and to share and to awaken or to stir, right? That's what happens. So one of the things that I've really been thinking about a lot this week is balance. And as you all know, there's a lot going on in the world right now, and especially in the States. There's all kinds of things going on, right? From a political point of view in particular, but just in general, there's a lot of disagreements and unrest, and one side against the other side against the, it's like, wait, time out. And so part of the balance we have as light workers and as teachers, and as a responsibility that I have as a podcast host, which I do take seriously, is I'm not supposed to necessarily take sides, right? But here's the thing. We also should never be afraid about speaking truth to power, and sharing our opinions of how we see things or how we feel about things. And there's objective truths, right? There's certain things that are just facts. And then there's other things that are opinions, that are subjective. And so I think it's pretty important for us to, as much as possible, try to de-escalate any of the tensions. Don't get pulled into the drama that's happening around us. We can shine our light and share our love and our gifts and make it our personal missions to share kindness, do those random acts of kindness, to have a positive impact on those around us in our life, those we meet and see. And it can be the simplest little gestures, right? Giving somebody the shopping cart, or giving them the parking space that's a little closer, or commenting on somebody's hairdo or sweater or whatever, making that polite small talk that maybe will lift somebody's day and help them shake that crazy feeling of like, nobody cares. Nobody even notices me. So many people right now don't even feel seen. They don't feel heard. They don't feel seen. They don't feel appreciated. And so the more that we can take the time to really listen. When somebody says, nobody ever listens to me, and they start to try to tell you something, don't try to jump in and give them a suggestion right off. Hold the space. They've told you what they want or need. They need you to listen. They need to let it out. And then after they've exhausted whatever it is they want to share, then you can kind of sit back and then ask them, do you want to know my opinion? Do you want to know my suggestion? Or, did you just need me to hold that space and let you know I love you, you're my friend, you're my family member, you're my partner, you're my spouse, you're my child, whatever the relationship is, and I'm here for you. I'm here for you in whatever way you need me to be here. And sometimes that's all somebody will need. So when I'm looking at what's going on in the world, and I'll tell you, one of the biggest challenges I had this week was actually with friends of mine posting things on Facebook about events that were happening around the country and about certain videos that were going out. And I saw some of those videos that they were talking about. And I was like, okay, did I see the same thing that you saw? Because their interpretation, hello, Maria, their interpretation of, or their not even interpretation, their recounting of what they believe they saw in that video was 180 degrees from what I thought I saw. And I went back and watched it again. I'm like, yeah, okay, I did see what I saw. But I'm not going to change somebody's mind if they truly are convinced that what they saw was a certain narrative. I could stand on my head upside down. I could show it to them frame by frame and say, and now this, now what do you think? Now this, and what do you think? And it's not going to do anything but fracture our relationship. So when it comes to friends and family that have different perceptions, hello, welcome, Donna, welcome, Virgil. So when other people have different perceptions and interpretations of the exact same event, I think back to an old video that I used to show when I was working for a Fortune 500 company, and I was a corporate consultant doing organizational change and business transformation. And I remember showing a video and giving to a group as part of a team building kind of assignment. And I said, I'm going to show this video on the wall, projected up, and I want you all to count how many times the basketball is passed from the players on the different teams. And then after the video's done, I'm going to ask you how many times. Great. So video goes, everybody's watching it. And at the very end, after it's all done, the question I had for them was not how many times the basketball got passed, but how many people saw the gorilla or the person, the man in the gorilla suit, walk right behind all of the basketball players. And almost all the people in the room looked at me like I was insane. They were like, what are you talking about? I didn't see any gorilla in that video. And I rewind it. And sure enough, between all of the basketball players and passing the basketball, there was this person in a gorilla suit that goes across the screen. Why didn't they see that gorilla? Because I gave them an assignment, and they were so focused on paying attention to what they thought was important or what was important to them that they missed something so bizarre that was happening there that you would swear, how could anybody miss that? Were these people dumb? Mm-mm. These were high-ranking executives. Were these people playing games and lying? Nope. They honestly didn't see it. So then you think, okay, you hear it from police officers all the time. that, let's say there was a car accident and there's a bunch of witnesses, or a car, even a robbery, let's say a car robbery, a carjacking, or some event happens and they have witnesses. I've talked to policemen myself. I have a few that were friends, and they said, you would not believe how many different versions of this exact same story there was of what happened. And in some cases, the person was tall, the person was short, the person was a different color, the person and race, the person was wearing a different color shirt, the car was a different color. And you're like, okay, how is this possible? Well, we, as most individuals in society, are not trained observers. And when we're just going through our life and we're focused on something else and something's happening around us, we're not paying 100% attention to that. We're not taking mental notes. It's kind of like just happening in the background. So knowing that, I try to give a little bit more leeway to other people who say, well, this is what I saw. And they lock in, and they can't even begin to admit that there might have been something different. And I'm looking at the same video saying, how is this, when it comes to like things in the news. And so my point here is it's really important for us to have much more love and understanding of how other people can hold the positions they hold, even if it seems diametrically opposed to us, when it comes to something that's before our very eyes. Some people can look at the same leader and say he's a dictator, a wannabe king, he is an awful person, and other people look at him and say he's my hero, he's a great businessman, he's a great leader, and he's doing amazing things. And you're like, are you talking about the same guy? Right? And I'm not talking about any specific person here, although we could be, but I'm not. All right. Because you see this, whether it's the people that supported, Putin when he got into office. How many of the Russian people probably thought, oh, this is a really cool guy. He worked for their version of I think it was like the KGB or something like that. He was part of their secret service, like a spy kind of network. And, he wants all these good things for the country. And, and there's other people that look at him and he's like, oh my God, he's a brutal dictator. And he got rid of all the press. And if you say anything against him, he had you killed. It's like, woo, right? So you have, we have lots of different ways that we can look at things. And my point is, please don't get sucked into the drama of the personalities, of the politics. And for the love of God, do not let it tear apart your friendships and your families. It's not worth it, right? So that balance that I started this whole conversation with, of it's important to speak truth to power, and it's important to share your objective perceptions of the facts of a situation as you see them. And it's important to also listen to your friends and colleagues and other people, even if they hold a different opinion of those events, right? Our role as light workers is to hold the truth, hold the space for people to come back around to it, because maybe there's other forces at work. But for us to cultivate and keep the peace, to share that light and love as much as possible, and to do our part to just, again, make our piece of the world as positive and benevolent as possible and as helpful as possible. I absolutely love, this is me personally, how the people of Minneapolis are choosing to do very, I'll call them very, in the spirit of Gandhi or Martin Luther King, very nonviolent protests. How they are doing fun things, to draw attention to what's going on without any kind of provocation or physical violence for the most part. Yes. And so there are some horrible things, that have gone on here in the States in the last few days. And I'm trying to kind of make sense of it myself. And all I can believe is that for some reason, there has to be a certain amount of shock or violence or something to kind of wake people up. And I believe the souls of the people involved, especially of the victims, were in a way, spiritual volunteers to help to get people to focus on the situation and hopefully heal it in some way or figure out how to move it along. I know whenever there's horrible challenges, there's also tremendous opportunities. Whenever disasters strike, there's also great blessings that typically will follow of how communities band together and resources and help come, or people start to speak up where before they were felt like, no, or it'll never pass this threshold. And once it passes that threshold, well, now they take action. So I'm hoping that it's one of those types of things. And again, this show it's street talk, it's straight talk. It's like, yeah, there's really some crappy things going on and some horrible things all over the world, right? That are happening. And you look at it and you go like, I don't get it. I remember one of the quotes that I heard very young, that evil can only prevail when good men do nothing. And I think it was back to one of like Adam's time or the revolutionary patriot time back then. And they were like, look, you know what? If we good men do nothing in the face of evil, then we're no better than them, right? So good men have to act in the face of evil, right? So the question becomes, what's your definition of evil? And again, this is where my head spins when I hear the spin of some of our own newscasters to make it seem like it's a good thing. Or I see on the Facebook post of some of my friends how they make it sound like, oh, well, you only saw this much of the clip and you didn't see what came before, what came after. And I'm like, that's maybe true, but what I saw, I think I saw. And then they're like, oh, well, AI can change this and that and the other thing. And I'm like, oh, come on, this is going to become a crazy, crazy time for all of us if there's no way for us to all agree on a shared truth or a shared reality. That if everybody has their own opinion of reality, it's going to be a really crazy, rocky time. And so again, that's why I'm really encouraging all of us light workers to hold true to your core values, to your ethics, to your morality, and do your best. Yes, speak truth to power while cultivating peace and trying not to get sucked into the drama unless there's a call to arms, so to speak, on a moral level, on some sort of energetic level. Please pray for us. Please send energy to us, to those that are struggling, to those that are on the receiving end of the confusion and the horrible treatment. Pray for the leader that they may have courage to stand up to anything that they perceive as wrong. Because from what I understand from people I've spoken to that are sort of close to the inside circles of those in power, is that most people are afraid. They're afraid to cross or say the wrong thing. There's people on TV shows and on that have been canceled, right? We know about some of them. There's newscasters, journalists that are afraid to ask the hard question or questions because they're afraid that they will become targeted or lose their job or become attacked by angry mobs. And you're like, whoa, what has happened here? It's like, but we knew we were going into some dark times and that we had to be the ones to hold the light, right? And yeah, it was like, buckle up. It's going to be a rough ride. And I do not personally believe the ICE guy was justified in the shooting. I think it was a horrendous case of someone who was most of these ICE people are not former policemen who have been through years of training or months of academy. They're people that volunteer, put on the uniform, and okay, go get them. It's that's hyperbole, but yeah. So to me, watching that video was heartbreaking, and then hearing how it was justified by so many other people made me sick, honestly, personally. But again, I'm trying to still step back from it and say, okay, what has to be true of that person for them to look at the same video that I did and see something totally different? And that's why I brought back that old video of the basketball player and the guy in the gorilla suit walking by, which nobody saw until it was pointed out to them. Or the multiple accounts of the exact same event seen by 10 different witnesses. I know the scenario that was well documented in one of the psychology books I read years ago was about a bank robbery. And so the bank lobby is filled with, was filled with patrons waiting to go up and do their banking business. And people came in wearing the masks. Certain number of them came in, they robbed the bank, they got out and away. And then when the police were interviewing all the people, the varying accounts were mind-boggling. The number of the bad guys, were they wearing masks or not, do they have guns or not? It was just like, what color were their shoes? What color was the car? If they saw the car, what color were they? What were they wearing? Were they white? Were they black? Were they Hispanic? Like, it was crazy. Were they men? Were they women? Were they tall? Were they short? Were they fat? Were they lean? So people, again, don't have a good ability to observe and retain objectively. So I can just pray that we can at least have some peace. And I don't know where it leads, honestly. Me personally, I don't know. I just know that we have to do our own part to focus on our opportunities and blessings, to be a source for good in the world, to help heal as much as we can. And yes, speak truth to power at the same time of cultivating peace whenever we can. And so it is a little bit of a challenge to walk that walk. Okay. So today's lessons from spirit, or messages from spirit that we get, the first one that I picked was guidance. And let me tell you, I was glad when I picked that. I'm like, God knows we can use some of that right now. And it says, ask for guidance and feel the glowing energy in your body. Follow your spiritual path wherever it may lead. Trust your gut feelings, your visions, and your inner voice. So one of the things that when I read that right now that resonated, especially after our conversation, is that our own promptings of spirit will guide us on what to say, how to respond, how to act, when to act. It's really our job to cultivate learning how to tune in to what was going on. The next one, I was surprised, but also relieved about. And it says, it's an angel card, and it says, there's nothing to worry about. It says, you are safe. And this situation, although concerning, is under perfect control of divine providence and universal order. Only infuse loving thoughts and emotions into the situation to ensure that the highest possible outcome flows effortlessly to and through you. So that made me think about other disasters or tragedies that have happened over the years. Excuse me. The worst one in my lifetime being the attacks at 9/11. And as a New Yorker, that was pretty traumatic. And knowing people and losing people was pretty traumatic. But I will tell you the way that the city and the nation and the nations of the world rallied together after that event, and the support that you saw and the heroics that you saw and the best of men and women came out following that horrendous tragedy, it makes me hopeful. And when I prayed on it from spirit, I was kind of told it was part of the plan to kind of be that wake-up call, to shake, and that the souls that perished in some way, their souls were volunteers. And that's also why there was like less than 1/3 of the normal number of people in those buildings at the time when the planes hit. So I have to trust that there has to be a certain amount of chaos and darkness and negativity out there to shake things up enough so that people will stand up for the light, that they will come together as brothers and sisters, that they will share their love, that they will share their gifts, they will help each other in the deepest ways possible. And so I may not understand it, I may not like it, but I know my job is not to make it any worse, that I'm supposed to be a healing presence whenever possible. And if you're a light worker, that's our job right now. Shine light, bring peace, help others heal. Don't add fuel onto the flames of contention that are out there. Do your best to put those flames out, to help heal the burn victims. Okay. Hello, Joey. All right. The next card that I chose, the angel card for messages for today, is that discernment. And discernment means sensing what feels right or wrong, trusting your judgment, and acting on it. Your angel guidance is to look at the people and situations in your life right now and to respond to your gut feelings. Learn to develop your intuition and ask your angels to help you discern the good from the bad. They will prompt you and guide you. With that connection to spirit and having that discernment, you will feel safer, happier, stronger, and clearer. Discernment. Okay. So, all right. So, Virgil, I'm going to put your little question up there so others can see it as well. So what Virgil is asking, and it ties into this discernment card, so that's why I popped it up. Are you trying to say that that shooting was really okay and it wasn't a tragedy or a murder? And no, that's not what I'm saying. I don't think that shooting was okay. I think it was horrific. I think it was not something, it was not a legal act. I think that woman was a victim of a terrible lapse of judgment and a crime and abuse of power and all kinds of other things, personally. And I believe, based on a spiritual background, that bad things happen to good people for a reason. And it's not to punish them. And it's not because, they wanted something bad to happen to them. I think bad things happen to good people to be an opportunity for resilience, for learning. And when it's something that's as horrible as a murder, what does it do to their family? What does it do to their friends? What does it do to their community? How do people come together? What kind of wake-up call is it? So what I try to do as much as I can is I try to look for What could be the blessing in this tragedy? What could be the good that can come out of this? Maybe this could be the tipping point, that final straw, that most heinous act that finally wakes some people up to say, wow, there are some people that are in power right now within these different organizations that do not have proper training, that have taken the power to extremes, that they've turned into bullies and thugs instead of people that are truly trying to help our nation. They are serving their own agendas, right? So maybe this woman's sacrifice on a soul level of being in that wrong place at the wrong time and being a victim of that shooting might be the wake-up call that's needed, that precipitates conversations and a shift to something's got to be done about this on a much larger level than just a city in a state in the US here in Minneapolis. So discernment is key, right? How do we figure out what is going on around us in our own life? And a lot of times we have to just trust the promptings we get from spirit. Okay, the 3 cards I chose for what's going on right now with the tarot card for past, present, future, leading into this moment. The first one is the 5 of Rods, and you can see it's chaos. It's chaos. It is just this feeling of everybody's going off in each direction. Intuition seems like it's out the window. Common sense seems like it's out the window. It's like, what do we do with this? How do we get back on track? Then the next card that I chose was the card, the Hermit. And the Hermit is go into your sanctuary, rest, recharge, gain clarity, but then come back out and share that wisdom with others. From that place of clarity and strength, share your gifts, share your knowledge, share your truth, share your insight. But you have to do it from a place and a position of strength. No one's going to listen to your voice. No one's going to take you seriously unless you're coming from a place that is grounded and strong and perceived as reasonable. And then the last card here, which is the future of this near future, is, I'm sorry to say, the world is still going to be a little upside down for a while, folks. And so we have to be working as diligently as we can to become strong and balanced in our own little circles and spread out those circles as much as we can, right? We have to help each other get through the chaos, help each other get through the confusion, help each other kind of be like, okay, what do you need? Okay, how can I help you? And so sharing our gifts, sharing our love, truly listening to each other and being there to have a positive impact on the lives of others in a way that matters to them, right? You may think, and I think I started this by saying, I know somebody who is totally justifying everything they saw there, saying, these people, ICE people, are doing the job to help to make our country safe that no one's been willing to do for so long. And I was like, okay, have you personally felt threatened by any immigrant? No. Do you know anybody who's had any negative experience with an immigrant? No. And I'm like, okay, so don't make it sound so personal for you, but it's clearly very personal for some of these people in these communities. So we have to have more empathy and compassion and make sure we truly understand the full scope of the situation. Is this woman that got shot, is she somebody that was in her own mind doing her civic duty of passive resistance of, peaceful protesting, of just staying in one spot and not moving, because technically the people asking her to move didn't have that authority. They weren't police officers or traffic cops. They were ICE agents, and that has nothing to do with the flow of traffic. So, was that her exercising and in her mind saying, I'm doing what I can just to say, I don't like this. And then it went a little crazy, right? So anyway, so it's going to be, for a while, the world is definitely going to feel a little crazy, guys. And so again, it's up to us to do the best we can to harmonize, restore some balance. I cracked open this book just to see, and the place it went to in my book, The Portal of Potential, was do what is right all the time, no matter what. If you live your life with integrity, ethics, morals, civics, and a focus on what is righteous, true, charitable, and loving, you will live a quality life, regardless of your external circumstances. Your life will have purpose and meaning far greater than whatever you do to earn your daily bread. So, where do we go from here, huh? So let's try to answer some questions tonight, right? And let's try to be part of solutions instead of problems. Let's hold the most loving, charitable interpretations and thoughts that we can, and just pray for peace, pray for love. And if you're in a position where you can act and your actions can make a difference and you're inspired to do so, go for it. In whatever way it is. Okay, so questions here. Okay, so remember to put things in caps. Let's see. Okay, so Maria is asking, when will Angela come? I'm not sure which Angela you're referring to. If this is just somebody in your life named Angela, as far as coming for a visit. I get, when I just tune into that, I sort of get more of a sooner than later kind of vibe, like before the end of the winter, early spring, end of the winter, that kind of feeling. But I'm not really sure about that. Okay, so what is this? This is all in caps. And this is healing through energy, saying Yeshua is the creator, is here. We love you. Okay, well, that's nice. And Yeshua chose Trump for the job in the spiritual war. Trump follows Yeshua's direction and divine is in charge. Okay, so now this is a cool perspective, right? So healing through energy, this person is saying that she believes, even though some of the actions that we've been talking about seem very negative, that Yeshua has put him there to be in this position at this time and, to precipitate whatever is going to be coming, right? So everybody has to play their role. I remember reading in the Essene, in the book of the Essenes, they talked about the role of Judas Iscariot. And they said, oh, he got a bum rap. He was one of Jesus's closest disciples. And Jesus, in some ways, asked him to, or expected him to be the one to betray him, because somebody had to, so he could fulfill the prophecies and he could fulfill his mission. And so somebody had to play the bad guy, so to speak, right? So for all we know, Trump is playing the bad guy to some people in order to have some other change happen and come through on the other side. So, that's an interesting perspective. So thank you for sharing that with us. Healing through energy. Okay. So next question I see is from Maria. And Maria is asking, will she and Philip be a couple again in 2026. So one of the things we talk about a lot when people ask me to tune in for like a reading type of answer, when it comes to anything about love in the future or fortune telling or predicting certain things when it comes to people, I personally have heard from spirit that because we have free will and free choice, the best that a reader like myself can do in the moment is tell you what the current energy is set up to look like. So it's like if I was to tell you you're driving down the road and right now the coast is clear, or, hey, you know what, if you go down the road a little further, there's black ice. It might get a little sketchy, right? So that's the best I can do because you as the driver have free will and free choice. And you might be driving down the road for 5 minutes and decide that you're hungry and get off at an unexpected exit to go look for food or fuel up your car or to let your pet have a poochie pet break, right? Stretch your legs. And that wasn't part of the original plan. It was that spur, that moment, free will, free choice, agency that we all have. So that said, I'm more than happy to tune into the energies and say, I definitely feel at the moment, if nothing changes on your end or his end, there is a feeling of coming together again. And you have a say in it, right? If this is something you want, you can put out for that. You can manifest for it. You can project energy towards it. You can each day ask your guides and your angels, what's one thing I can do today to help make that more of a reality? Because that's something that I want, and I believe that's something he wants as well, right? So that's something that we can all do when we're asking about, will I get that new job? Will I find this new love in my life? Will I find some prosperity? Will I, whatever the question is, will I learn this new language? Well, why are you asking me if you're going to learn a new language? Are you willing to do what it takes to get the books, takes the classes, get the online app, practice, find somebody to speak with? Okay, then you'll learn the language, right? Me telling you, yes, you'll learn it or no, you won't. I don't know how important it is to you, how much work you're willing to put into making it happen. And so be careful about giving your power away to different readers or people that you go to for guidance. Do not ask them questions that disempower you. You have the choice. You have the agency. You have the free will to say, yep, this is important to me. I want it to happen. I'm going to do everything I can to make it so. And if it's involving somebody else, it's important to find out before you go too far down the road, is this even something that's on the table for them? Is this something that's even slightly desirable for them, that they want it too, but maybe just don't know how to figure out how to make all the moving parts come together, right? So that's pretty important. Okay, next question. Let's see. I see one here. Okay. So I won't share the specifics of who this is from because it's a very personal situation, but somebody had their girlfriend take their life last year, and they're wondering why she hasn't come to him in dreams. And one of the things that we have to understand here is that time on the other side of the veil is very different. So although a year has elapsed here, it's almost a blink on the other side. And when somebody either dies tragically from an accident or from a violent act perpetrated on them, or from a disaster in nature, or from just an early unplanned death, right? Something that just seemed like out of the blue. So whether they took their own life or they just found themselves like the accidental overdose or the car crash that took their life or the tsunami that took their life, right? So the sudden deaths, sudden ending to the physical existence on this side of the veil. Those souls need time. They need process on the other side of the veil to heal, to make sense of it, to kind of figure out like, okay, so did I learn what I meant to learn? Did I have the experiences I was meant to have on the earth plane in this incarnation? That sort of thing. So it can take a while before they're ready to kind of come back and be guides for us, to visit us in dreams, to talk to us through mediums, to relay messages. So we have to give those souls a little extra time to kind of heal and sort things out and work with the guides and healers and loved ones in spirit on that side of the veil to help them come to terms with, oh, I didn't realize I was done. It's like, oh, what happened here? Especially when it's somebody younger, or again, if it's just unexpected, So, all right. And so next question, I hope that helped. So have some hope that they will show up. You can call out to their spirit. You can also call out for an advocate in spirit for them. So for example, my brother died suddenly when he was 41. He went to bed one night and didn't wake up the next morning. And when I kept trying to reach out for him, I couldn't get him. I was like, why is he not showing up? Well, his soul needed a little time to figure out, like, what happened here? 1 minute I'm there, next minute I'm here. What happened? So one of my aunts who was in spirit, who was very close to him, came to me and said, oh, yeah, he's here. Your dad came to get him. He's safe. He's on the other side. All is well. And he's going through sort of a healing, like cocooning, kind of like lots of energies are healing him, helping him realize what went wrong in this lifetime, what could have gone better, kind of doing the life review, but from that perspective of, okay, what was I hoping to accomplish? What did I accomplish? What didn't I? Where did I have love? Where did I touch the lives of others? Where did I screw up? Where did I mess up? Right. And I want to try again if I wanted to try again. So you can pray for and ask for an advocate to come, somebody who would have known her and would care for her and love her and could be kind of like that voice for her until she's ready to speak directly again. Okay. Until she's had that healing happen. All right. Hope that helped. All right. So we know, okay. So Joey was asked, what does it mean to live with civics as opposed to a noisy doggy? Quiet. Be good boy. Almost done. My dog has like this internal clock. It's spooky. Like he just knows when it's getting close to certain times. I'm like, how do you know? His internal clock is crazy. Be a good boy. Otherwise I have to go kennel. Okay. Hang on. So what it means to live with civics is actually what we used to study in school when I was young. And it was about the branches of in our country. It's the branches of government, the responsibilities of checks and balances in government, how we support and can use the different local government to get, so you use your local government to get to the state government, to get to the national government, to have different things enacted. So it's working within that framework and knowing how your voice can be heard and how your actions can be useful in order to affect change in certain ways. Right? That's the quickie of it anyway. So I hope that helped. Let's say it was the psychic lady on the show. Okay, well, I'm the only psychic lady on the show, so I'm not sure who you mean. I've only had one guest on my show so far, and that was Craig Gingulis, from a mystic and shaman from Sedona. So, well, I am more than happy to refer you to look at the whole schedule of shows, because there's lots of different hosts on the whole Bigfoot Network family. And so maybe you're just thinking about me and a different person. Oh, I know who you might have been thinking of. For a while, we had Ingbal, who was a wonderful psychic, and she's a Wiccan from England who was helping to produce my show when Grizzly was under the weather. So before at the stage. Well, that was odd. Sorry about that. That was quite bizarre. I think you're all still with me. Yeah, looks good. Okay, yeah, still working. So yeah, so she's still in England. She's still doing her show. And again, I'm more than happy to answer questions. Her name was Angela. The only Angela that I do know, Maria, is Angela Ford, who was a psychic, and she was a remote reviewer for the CIA back in the Stargate project years ago. And I've been on her shows, but she hasn't been a guest on mine yet, but maybe I'll ask her. Maybe you're having a premonition. So I'll have to see if I can get Angela on one of my shows. That would be fun. All right, y'all, we're just winding up to the hour. I know it goes really fast. Thank you so much for tuning in. Let's see if there are any other questions real quick. I think we're good. Okay, so guys, once again, do the best you can out there this week. Be as unconditionally forgiving and loving of yourself as you are one another. Shine your light, share your love, do your best to use your gifts to uplift those around you, have a positive impact on the world, be a calming, loving, positive influence, be kind to yourself, be kind to one another. That's your homework. That's the life homework, right? That's hopefully what we do all the time. Okay, I figured out what's going on. We're having a snowstorm here, so my satellite was starting to cut out. So I guess good time for that. All right, y'all. Do all the good things with social media. Like us, share us, tell your friends. Join us here live on Thursday evenings if you can. We're out there. Hopefully, we can spread a little love and some positivity in the universe. And I love you all for tuning in. Thanks so much. And have a wonderful week, y'all. Bye now. Let's see if I can figure this out, right? We'll get it one of these days. All right. So I need to say, where's that little, there's like intros and extras, and I don't know. I think this one will do. All right, y'all. Have a great week. Love you.
Coming to a YouTube channel near you.